money scandal at Osman Towers Ikoyi to be sanctioned. President Buhari receives panel report on NIA.
Vice President Oshibajo at SGF retreat calls for better cooperation amongst tiers of government.
Senate hopes to approve 2018 appropriation bill as House of Representatives passes 3 bills for third reading.
On Good Morning Nigeria today, we focus on the Yuletide season and safety on our highways.
All right. Now, according to the Federal Road Safety Corps statistics, about 90% of road accidents in the country are caused by human factors. And those include overspeeding, drunkenness, and so on. Now, this probably induced the 2015 FRSA campaign theme, Attitudes, the change we need to make the roads safer.
Indeed, usually each year the Road Safety Corps comes up with campaign themes to ensure that there is compliance with road rules and regulations. Now, the themes are usually more physically enforced, if you like, during the festive periods, especially at this time of year, which is the peak of the Ember months. And this is also in anticipation of the higher vehicular and personal movements all around the various road corridors in the country.
And the Kingsley, I'm sure everyone is also aware of the common saying that the task of keeping our roads safe and, of course, your staying alive is a collective responsibility. Now, that implies that every road user has a responsibility to obey the rules and regulations guiding road use.
Now, while that is so, the Road Safety Corps also has a mandate of not only ensuring compliance with the rules, but also advises government at all tiers of government and at all tiers and other stakeholders on how to reduce carnage on our roads and then achieve maximum safety. This year, 2017, the theme is very captivating, and it is right to life on the highway is not negotiable. Now, let's take a look at the stats in terms of road crashes for 2016. According to road transport data, there were over 11,000 road crashes in the country, with nearly 30% of those crashes occurring in the last quarter of the year. And of course, December in 2016 recorded the highest number of the crashes.
Indeed. Now, this has been the trend in the last few years, as also available data show that at the end of the year, especially December, records, of course, December usually record high incident of, fatalities from road accidents. Now, the situation has been linked to increased number of travelers, well, not, of course, road users, especially from families that are traveling to visit loved ones, of course, in their country homes, in commemoration, of course, of the end of the year festivities.
Now, to reduce the carnage on the roads, the Federal Road Safety Corps this year has deployed some 36,000 regular and special marshals nationwide. And as we have indicated, this will be for special patrols.
Indeed. Now, the operation is to, among other objectives, ensure free flow of traffic, reduction in accidents, and prevention of accident-related deaths across the country during this festive period. But of course, the main objective is to, of course, keep you alive and ensure that you reach your destination, in one piece.
That's right, and that's what they're saying, that safe driving is not negotiable, as we read out a moment ago. But we shall be taking a look in our discussion segment at the various strategies that the Road Safety Corps and indeed other agencies will be deploying at this time as we get to the peak of the holiday season, end of year. Christmas is only 5 days away, and we are also hopeful that this year we'll record far fewer crashes than we had seen in the preceding years, of course, plus the fact that there's an expectation of a decline in the fatalities arising from the crashes.
Indeed, the content of what the FRSA is promising is quite encouraging, and like they say, if road users complied with these rules and regulations, I'm sure Kingsley, as you rightly predicted, will have very minimal, accidents.
Yeah,
and even if they do occur, to ensure that there'll be no loss of life.
The responsibility is ultimately that of road users, particularly the drivers, and the care and attention that they pay to their vehicles, as well as obeying various traffic regulations. There's no point if your vehicle is not in good shape, fix it before you get on the road. There's no point in managing a vehicle. And why overspeed? Where are you running to?
Most especially things, the altitude matters.
That's right.
Altitude, because if you fix your car and you don't maintain the right altitude on the road, what happens?
That's the point. Where are you running to? And if you, the difference between arriving alive and speeding to disaster is one that nobody would like to contemplate. We all wish everybody would have safe and happy driving this holiday season. So that's our discussion segment that we shall be taking a look at on Good Morning Nigeria today. My name is Kingsley Osadolo, and I welcome you to the program. We're reaching you live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We are here at the Abuja headquarters studios. Incidentally, it's a wet morning today, unusually so in the Federal Capital Territory, but more particularly Abuja City. Indeed. About an hour and a half ago, the heavens opened up, and I think it was slowly now drying up.
Kingsley.
Flash floods everywhere.
I was very shocked. Yeah. This is the first time, well, in my entire life I can remember, you're having this, volume of rainfall in the month of December, just a few days too. But again, they say it's a showers of blessing. I understand it also rained in parts of Kwara State, because I put a call through to my daughter.
I see, all right.
Yeah, so showers of blessing, and we want to thank God for it. I am Claire Adelabu Abdulrazak, welcoming you as always from wherever you're watching. And indeed, we do know all of you. I do know all of you. Some of you call us. We want to appreciate you and the fact that you have, of course, been our partner in progress on this program. We thank you. We also would like to, of course, let you know we have other segments that will be coming up on today's edition, as always. That will include newspaper review, business, sports, foreign, and arts and entertainment. Ogwa Vivian Onyedibia is on the news this morning. Ogwa, I'm wondering what your driving speed limit is as a woman.
Well, at the moment, I'm not driving, but I know I take it easy on the roads.
Easy is relative. Anyway.
I was wondering, I wouldn't know why, Ogwa, just before you took the news, why Claire was asking as a woman what your driving speed is. I mean, I don't know. Is there some sexism about driving? Is it that?
Actually, it shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't. I believe so, yes, Claire. I don't think so.
Kingsley, well, let's get
because I agree there are some women that are Formula One inclined.
Absolutely.
Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to the morning news. All those found culpable in the money scandal at the Osborne Towers, Ikoyi, Lagos, will be appropriately sanctioned. President Muhammadu Buhari stated this while receiving the report of the presidential panel established to review the operational, technical, and administrative structure of the National Intelligence Agency.
We hope that government will find the analysis and recommendations contained in our report useful.
And away from that, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has restated the need for all Nigerians to embrace the current anti-corruption crusade of the federal government. The minister stated this at the launch of the Anti-Corruption Situation Room in Abuja.
There seems to be a feeling of numbness among the citizens about the conduct of those whose actions brought us here, those who looted the National Treasury Drive. Suddenly, these same people are engaging in revisionist history and blaming everyone but themselves for the mess their actions have put the country. Those who turned our treasury to their piggy bank are once again presenting themselves as the saviors of Nigeria. They are so emboldened as to say Nigerians are earnestly yearning for them. No contrition, no apologies, no shame, just sheer bravado, unbridled arrogance. Civil society, the media, and indeed all Nigerians owe it a duty not to allow Nigerians to forget, to say never again to those who view Nigeria as nothing but a cash cow to be milked to death.
We all have a responsibility because corruption is a disaster, it's evil. So we all have a duty to get rid of the evil.
The federal government says efforts will be made to further make micro, small and medium enterprises more vibrant in 2018. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo stated this at a meeting with key players to examine the activities of micro, small and medium enterprises clinic being championed by his office. He expressed satisfaction with the scorecard of the clinic in the last 1 year.
A new orientation has been birthed, which is that we are not meant to be just bureaucrats. We are meant to facilitate trade and commerce. We are meant to facilitate business in our environment. And I think that the tremendous improvements we've seen in the quality of service to the people is worthy of commendation.
Some of the highlights that came out was the need to acknowledge and reward innovative businesses, to provide workplaces for a lot of the micro, small and medium enterprises. Still, the issues of access to finance are still there, but they're being unbottled with the various initiatives coming on board by Bank of Industry, Nexim Bank, DBN, Bank of Agriculture. So new initiatives should be coming out in 2018.
Doing much with collaboration with the state governments to make sure that we have reduced the level of double taxation from the state, local government and the federal.
Meanwhile, the Vice President has called for better cooperation of all tiers of government in order to meet the overall objectives of serving the people better. The Vice President made the call at a two-day retreat of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation with secretaries to the state governments in Abuja.
Despite the important initiatives and decisions of NEC, little will be achieved if we do not have relevant state government agencies actively working with the federal government to implement. So the role of secretaries to state governments is clearly central to cascading the action points and conclusions to the relevant MDAs in their states.
This retreat is aimed at creating a forum where we can better achieve the balance that allows for full, effective, and efficient function of the state structure for the good of all.
The Nigerian Governors Forum and the Conference of Speakers of State Houses of Assembly have resolved to constitute a committee to look at all issues pertaining to the ongoing constitutional amendment. The decision was taken at an emergency meeting between the governors and speakers at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. In a communique read by the chairman of the Governors Forum and Governor of Zamfara State, Abdulaziz Yari, the committee is expected to report back to the members within a reasonable time for final position to be taken.
We, the governors of 36 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, under the platform of Nigerian Governors Forum, NGF, and the speakers of House of Assemblies, under the offices of Conference of Speakers, resolve as follows. The meeting agreed to approach this amendment with maturity and the future of our democracy at the back of our mind.
The governor also comments on the resolution of the Governors Forum on the $1 billion Security Support Fund.
Compromise the issue of insecurity and the issue of security. So therefore, now, understanding we don't have much funds in that account, we said as governors, we agree to take a decision, we're taking this decision to forfeit $1 billion out of our own money, states and local government, which we are going to back it up with a state assembly resolution in the later time.
On to legislative matters now. The Senate is considering the possibility of passing the 2018 appropriation bill at the end of this year. National Assembly correspondent Dennis Adegunoye reports that this followed a point of order raised by the Deputy Senate Leader Bala Ibn Na'ala.
It is obvious that we have a problem, and it is important for us to lay this problem bare on the face of Nigerians so that people will understand what the peculiarities are and what the difficulties are. There is no clear indication whatsoever that 40% of 2017 capital budget has been implemented.
We have the Public Procurement Act that I referred you to that says that the MPF must be presented 3 or 4 months before the budget. And as for the $5.5 billion that was approved as low, which is to fund the same 2018 budget, 2017 budget, there have not been clear-cut indications.
None of this budget tells you what has been rolled over and what is new.
Is the assumptions of that, the fact that capital projects, of which 40 to 50% of 2017 will have been implemented by now, and this has not been the case. This makes it very, very difficult for us. We cannot turn you into magicians. All I can just continue to appeal is to work within what you have, and let us do our best to ensure that we have a budget that is for the interest of Nigerians.
The House of Representatives has passed 3 bills for third reading. This includes a bill for an act to provide for the protection of human rights, online and internet users in Nigeria from infringement of their fundamental freedom. The need for the legislators to intervene in the controversy between the Nigerian Law School and Amasa Fidos, a law school graduate, during the last call to bar was also considered.
I'm calling on my colleagues to please ensure that justice is done to the lady affected so that she can be allowed to be called to bar.
There is need to provide financial support to that lady to hire a counsel as an interim to at least enforce her fundamental human rights.
So, legally speaking, the lady in question, Firdausi, attended University of Ilorin, she has passed. She attended law school, she has passed. Academically, she is qualified to be a lawyer in Nigeria.
Well, that's the news for now. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Kingsley and Claire after this break.
Unemployment, notably youth unemployment, features strongly in our party's manifesto. We intend to attack the problem frontally through revival of agriculture.
The 30K is going a long way. Actually, I bought an acre of land for 60K like 2012, and presently I have a cassava farm and a yam farm.
Reorganized, trained, and fully equipped, we are the new improved Nigeria Police Force. We fight crime, we bust syndicates. Whatever the crime, wherever the hideout, the Nigeria Police Force will get you busted. Stop kidnapping, armed robbery, murder, pipeline vandalism, and other criminal activities. Be productive. Be security conscious. Join the police force to secure your life and property. This message is from the Nigeria Police Force Public Relations Department.
Commercial bus drivers in some of our major cities are daily subjected to this trend.
Give me your money. I'm staff. I'm a uniform man. I'm a force man.
Is this a right or a privilege or sheer arm twisting?
Driver, if like say we not go see anything take chop today, because na social staff and award and World Cup full this bus.
Alas, how will they earn daily bread if we all get our bus rides for free? Staff and award, another rib-cracking episode of Professor John Bull comes your way this week to make you think and laugh like never before. Keep a date with us.
I want to know the kind of staff we wanna be. Police staff, army staff, or criminal staff, which one wanna be?
Special unit.
Special unit.
We got... Hold up.
Over and out. Brought to you by Glow.
The largest data network, Glow Unlimited. Whenever pain occurs, you want quick relief. Try Nurofen Express. It goes to the source of pain and gets to work in under 15 minutes. That's why Nurofen Express delivers fast and effective relief. Nurofen Express works at the source of pain. Fast.
Being a mom is great, but when your child has a fever, you don't know what to do. I trust Nurofen for Children to take care of my child's pain and fever.
Effective relief you can trust.
Dettol team is visiting schools to teach children how to protect themselves from diseases. Do you know how we get illnesses like diarrhea, cough, and cold?
No.
They are spread through germs which are everywhere. You collect germs that cause diseases. You pick up germs from any surface, like when you don't wash your hands after going to the toilet, while playing. And then you can get sick because of germs. That's why you need to fight germs to stay healthy by washing your hands and taking your bath with Dettol soap to protect from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Wash your hands. What you have to do is bath yourself. Dettol soap every day. Wash your hands.
The time has come for Nigeria to take her rightful place in world sports with the first national grassroots sports festival to discover and prepare sport talent and develop future world champions for Nigeria. The festival date is 3rd to 10th March 2018. Venue is the National Stadium, Abuja, packages A and B. This is the opportunity for you to promote your brand through the festival. For broadcast sponsorship, which include live broadcasts, highlight shows, and TV fans show, contact the Chairman, Chief Coordinator, Angelo Peter I. Elosia, or Nick Onyishi. Organizers, Grassroots International Sports Academy and LOP Worldwide Television. Endorsed by the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development. Broadcast partner, NTA.
Right, let's turn our attention now to business news. And in the package, we understand Nigeria is seeking favorable economic partnership agreement with the EU, and that's as part of efforts to boost bilateral trade. Joy Uzo is on business news this morning.
Hello and welcome to Business News. The Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment says it is willing to reopen negotiations with the European Union on Economic Partnership Agreement, EPA. The Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, Aisha Abubakar, told European Union delegation in Abuja. The minister observed that some key features of the agreement makes it non-reciprocal and in favor of European Union and should be reviewed for mutual benefits.
We would want to continue to maintain the good relationship that we have. We would want to bring them down to details and specifics so that clear results are attained.
I consider myself not only an ambassador for the European Union in Nigeria, but also another ambassador for Nigeria in Europe, because I think that has to be the spirit of the work that we do with diplomacy. It's by
Trade relations between Nigeria and the European Union is estimated to be around $21 billion and expected to grow. Reactions have continued to trail the suspended strike by the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASIN. NTA Business News sought to know the situation at the filling stations and how the public are taking it, especially with the U-tide.
I am happy that I just came to the station. I've not spent up to 10 minutes and I'm getting close to the pump. So it's a welcome development.
We are beginning to feel the impact. I just came in and I don't know if they just start selling now, but I just came in and as you can see, I'm close to the pump.
And now that they have called the strike, the fuel will be available and we enjoy buying our fuel because the queue at the station is very worrisome. When you queue at the station, you will not do other things that you're supposed to do.
Meanwhile, authorities have assured Nigerians of adequate fuel supply as they continue to work assiduously to ensure that normalcy is restored nationwide in the shortest time. Moving on now, the federal government's offer for subscription by auction of 10.69 billion naira worth of sovereign green bonds ends this Wednesday, the Debt Management Office DMO says. The offer states that the 5-year tenor bond would mature in 2022 at a coupon rate of 13.48% per annum. The green bond is being issued following Nigeria's endorsement of the Paris Agreement on Climate Change of September 2016, with the aim of strengthening global response to the threat. The DMO noted that proceeds from the green bond would be used to finance projects in the 2017 Appropriation Acts that were certified as green because of their positive effects to the environment. With the issuance, Nigeria would become the first African country to issue a green bond, the DMO said. Still on business news, South Africa's benchmark stocks index had their biggest rally since March following the ascent of the business and investor-friendly Cyril Ramaphosa as leader of the ruling African National Congress, removing an overhang that had weighed on market sentiment. The FTSE and GSE Africa All-Share Index rose as much as 1.6% and was 1.5% higher as of Tuesday in Johannesburg. Analysts were of the opinion that the removal of a degree of political uncertainty is a significant potential catalyst for relative recovery in South African performance and for a better-than-expected earnings outcome for the domestic earners in 2018. And now here is a quick look at closing figures of trading on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, which closed on a downward trend Tuesday. The Stock Market Report wraps up this segment of the program. Many thanks for watching.
Joy Uzo, thank you very much for the business package and Good Morning Nigeria. Next for us, we'll go to the front pages of some of today's newspapers. Baya Toyobi is right here with us for today's review of the newspapers. Baya, good morning and welcome.
Good morning on a rainy day in Hamatan.
Absolutely, yeah. Claire and I discussed that earlier. I was wondering, I mean, when I first heard the clap of thunder, it was around about 5:30 or so. So I was wondering what was going on.
In fact, I first thought it was a quarrying where they are breaking rocks at the quarry, maybe,
you know,
until the clatter came on the roof. Yes. And it was quite heavy.
It's quite interesting. I woke up this very early in the morning and I heard that. I heard drums and I was like, I had to, open the...
just to be sure what was going on.
Yes.
What was going on.
I must admit, though, probably about 10 days or more ago, there was an attempt, for, let's say there's some precipitation.
Yes, drizzle.
Drizzle, yes.
Briefly, yes.
I felt that. So I was wondering what was going on. First, I thought maybe, it was quite unusual. It's the first time, if you ask me, that I'm witnessing
for
rainfall.
Abuja, the
Did NIMET predict that? Did NIMET see it coming?
Unfortunately, we didn't have the weather report yesterday. Yes, we didn't have the weather report on Good Morning Nigeria.
The rain cycle in Abuja is usually between February and October. But now, it has gotten extended to the
again, Kingsley, this probably will be the fallout of, the climate change. And the, of course, outside of, longer.
It's probably just a freak occurrence.
Yes,
it's unseasonal. Let's put it
our farmers need to be cautious so as not to take this as a green light for outset of rain, so that they don't suffer a dry spell that will dry up their crops.
The flash floods this morning. Yes. Yeah, you can see because the earth is already caked on account of the baking heat that the city had experienced in the preceding weeks. But there are, of course, stories on the front pages of the papers, fairly common to all of them. You have stories on the budget. You have stories also on the excess crude account and the security, as well as the fuel situation. Let's take a look at the Independent newspaper. The Independent newspaper has as its lead story a double-decker headline: Senate abandons 2018 budget passage till March. With a rider, sales document, according to it, empty and unworkable. Details of that story can be found on page A5 of the paper. And then for the story on the excess crude account, that's the ECA, it's the second lead story for the Independent. Right there, it's at the foot of the front page of the paper, below the photograph showing the President, Vice President, and former SGF Ambassador Babagana Kingibe. That's the story is as follows on the ECA. Fayose and Yari, that's the two governors, that's Fayose is Ekiti and Yari is of Zamfara, clash in Aso Rock over $1 billion Boko Haram fund with two riders. Fayose heads to court, says Ekiti needs share to tackle, according to him, hunger haram. And another rider there says federal government recounts, says $1 billion not for Boko Haram fight only.
All right, Kingsley, the issue, I'm surprised that, with all the, yesterday at the National Assembly was quite eventful, of course, as a result of the debate on the 2018, appropriation bill. And this morning, of all the papers we have, just one paper, has it as a lead story. The other papers didn't even have it on the front pages. But that's my observation. The main story on the papers this morning for us is the $1 billion dollars to fight Boko Haram insurgency. Now, The Guardian captions its own this way: Ekiti Rivers demand share of $1 billion insurgency fund. Now, it has two riders there. LGA chairman, Sue AGF, and governors. Now, Fayose wants state's share of excess crude money, while Wike urges action on environmental terrorism. Now, the VP and Yeri, that's of course the chairman of the Governors Forum, insist that governors okayed the deal. Now, the same story on the front page of the Punch reads: Ekiti LGA bosses sue AGF and 36 governors. Now, Fayose, Yeri openly disagree on ECA withdrawal, while $1 billion not meant to fight terrorists alone, and that's attributed to the Vice President. Bayo, how do you read all this?
Well, a lot of sensation has been put into this, but it does not obscure the facts as they stand. First of all, you will recall that the governor of Edo State, after the National Economic Council meeting, briefed that the $1 billion from the excess crude account was to fight the terrorism in the Northeast. But the Vice President yesterday came with a clarification and said that the decision was reached after a national security summit, which was held about 2 months ago. And at that point in time, it was resolved that the security architecture that were being threatened, and this include challenges of kidnapping, small arms purchases, terrorism, herdsmen and farmers clashes, as well as the challenges of cattle rustling and even policing in all states. So some of the objections that have been raised already apparently will seem to have been tackled. You will recall that soon after that, Governor of Rivers State, Governor Nyesom Wike, had said that the environmental challenges and security challenges in Niger Delta is more than that of Boko Haram, and therefore something should be given to them. From this clarification, it would appear as if that too has been included. Governor Ayodele Fayoshi says that he was not part of the meeting, and therefore he is threatened that he's going to court. Like Kingsley Red, Ekiti, he says, suffers from hunger haram, and he should be given his own portion of it, and every state should be given their portion to solve their problem by themselves.
Well,
but
the
chairman,
what is hunger haram?
well, hunger in the state and the hunger haram is a coinage from Boko Haram. The chairman of the Governors Forum was also explaining that when the decision was taken, 32 governors were in attendance. 12, the quorum for the Governors Forum was 12 governors, and there was no one single dissenting voice among the governors. And therefore, he also said there was a precedent. When Governor Akpabio was governor of Cross River State, he proposed the same thing at the Governors Forum. At that time, it was $2 billion also to fight terrorism. And during the tenure of President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, $5 billion was also taken from the SS crude account. And he also surmised that this is not just the end of it. Approval will be sought from state houses of assembly by resolution to plug them. But however, the 16 local governments of Ekiti State have also gone to court, challenging this decision, saying that it is a violation. They want a declaration whether or not the Governors Forum can unilaterally appropriate funds outside the Revenue and Financial Mobilization Authority, as well as the National Assembly. So it's a developing constitutional issue, and the courts will be very busy. And that is good for our democracy. When issues about the economy, about polity arise, we should go to court to find a lasting solution.
Yeah, Bayo, well, thanks a lot. As you said, the issues have very significant constitutional implication, of course, as well as relationship that you have amongst the various governors. So let's see how, going forward, the Ekiti local government chairman would frame their prayers before the court with regard to what their demand is. But fairly, I mean, for some persons, the issues are also fairly straightforward with regard to what needs to be done. Yes. All right. We talked about the budget earlier in terms of the headline. That's the lead story for the Independent, saying it's abandoning it until March. There are a number of issues arising from there. Now, back again to the Independent, above the nameplate of the Independent, it says, fuel scarcity worsens despite assurances by Kachuku and Barrow. And with another headline, gunmen abduct school principal and monarch's wife in Bayelsa. The story is on page A3. Now, Ikoyi Gate, that is below the nameplate of Independent. Ikoyi Gate, or if you like, Osborne Gate. Ex-NIA DG, okay, and others to face prosecution soon. That's attributed to President Buhari. The story is on greater detail on page A2.
All right, the also story that is trending on the papers, that's The Guardian and The Punch, is the arrest of innocent Chief Executive Officer by the EFCC. Just at the bottom of the Guardian, you can see that story. It's right there. The story, of course, is in greater detail on page 12. EFCC arrests innocent Chief Executive Officer. It's also at the bottom page of The Punch, same caption. EFCC arrests innocent boss in Enugu. But there's an interesting story that, of course, I would want us to also look at that bio. There's a story here. 6 new private universities, have also gotten new licenses. Now that's trending on the bottom page of the Guardian. And more, of course, stories from, let me quickly take a look at The Punch now. It says, federal government building new prisons, plans to arrest us in 2018. Now that's PDP. The details of that, it's on page 9. Okay, let's... Yeah.
Well, the good news about the universities is that the quantum of Nigerian students who sat for JAM and qualified, there will be now plenty of opportunities and choices for them to make the universities. But these universities added, at last count, there were about 156. If you add these 6 to 8 now, we'll be having about 162 universities on the count.
Yeah, and bias. That's what you just said now with regard to university admission.
Yes.
There's a story on page A12 of the Independent newspaper, and it says, with the headline, UTME, we can't guarantee admission for 1 million candidates. And this is according to the NUC. Right.
Absolutely. Well, talking about the matters of the moment, too, petrol. The queues are not disappearing rapidly because people are panicking because Christmas is here. NMPC says there's no cause for panic. In the meantime, measures have been taken. The quantum of trucks that are supplying petrol to Lagos have been increased to 300. And that of Abuja, which used to be 70 trucks a day, has now been increased to 100 more, making 170. The NMPC indicated that the Port Harcourt refinery, as well as the Kaduna Petrochemical and Refinery, are also supplementing. As usual, they have alerted that there's no cause for alarm, no panic. NMPC has 21 days supply of petrol in the strategic reserve. That is 750 million liters of petrol. So don't be in a hurry to buy petrol. Meanwhile, coming to the budget, the Senate resumed plenary yesterday, and they observed that it might not be realistic to pass budget 2018 before the end of this year. We have barely, today is 18, today is 20th, we have barely 10 days to the end of the year. And how did that happen? The President presented the budget on November 7th. Both chambers of the National Assembly decided on December 5th to go to council plenary and concentrate on budget presentation. But they came with observations that ongoing budget process has a lot of flaws. And they said there is a lack of preparation on the part of ministries, departments, and agencies. Particularly, some members of the executive at this critical moment chose to travel. And therefore, when they are supposed to come for budget defense, they didn't defend it. But most critically, 50% of the 2017 budget that was supposed to have been implemented, with the rest being rolled over, has not been so done. They indicated that the budget implementation stands between 15 to 20%. And therefore, we are looking towards March 2018 for this lifespan of the budget. Don't forget that the budget was signed June 12, and it has a lifespan of 12 calendar months. This initiative was to try and return to the January-December budget cycle. So but apparently it means now that if they are able to meet the March deadline, it means they will have gained 3 months from the normal budget cycle.
Okay. Okay,
all right, yeah, but I think that's that's the much. But of course, there's a story. This last one from the Independent. Is there the first column on the left side of the paper? It says PDP, APGA, and Accord party reps stage walkout over members' defection. This, of course, is the House of Representatives. But it has a rider. Okorocha storms National Assembly to receive the campaign rep. That story is on the front page, and it jumps to page A4.
Yeah. It's also on the front page of the Punch. Imo rep defects to APC, PDP. Incidentally, that's Honorable Nana Ibukwe, who is representing Ayazu.
Well, if you ask me, I would say the shoe is now on the other foot. Why? It happened during the 7th National Assembly. There were members, the campaign then to PDP, and the opposition then prevailed that, look, this is a violation of the Constitution. They didn't agree. But this member who defected says he defected since January, before the Supreme Court decision that said the National Working Committee of the PDP was fully in charge, and so there's no longer a division. Oh, well,
they said they are headed to court to seek interpretation of the Supreme Court decision on members who defect when there is no crisis in the party. So if he defected in January, why did he have to wait until 11 months later,
December
before
to announce it.
Announcing it, when, of course, the crisis had since long been resolved. Anyway, but these are matters for them to sort out. But the story that Claire also touched on, which we didn't have enough time to discuss, has to do with the governors and speakers of the State House of Assembly setting up what probably will be a joint committee on the constitutional review. If you recall, a few days ago, we had read that some State House of Assembly were already taking the various items on the constitutional amendment agenda as passed by the National Assembly. Now they are setting up a joint committee to get this fast track. Is that a welcome development, or is this something that we should be wary of? I mean, I'm not sure how it plays out in terms of
it's a political development. Yes. Before this time, you will recall that senators of the South had met in Calabar, senators of the North have met in Katsina, and they were all talking about some of these constitutional amendments, particularly restructuring. And for the Constitution to be amended, it will have to go to the State House of Assembly. So the governors in their initiative now are coming into conference with the state speakers of the Houses of Assembly. That will help harmonize their positions and probably fast-track the process of constitutional amendment.
All right, Bayo, just before we sign you off, just to mention Kingsley, of course, we know yesterday in the U.S., President Trump may seem to have recorded his first landmark achievement. You know, the House passed this tax reform, bill, and by a very slim margin, I think 200 and something, to just 203 votes. So
yes, he has more trouble ahead of him. Anyway, congratulations on what he's trying to do with regard to tax reform.
And good luck to the troubles coming.
Well, yeah, that's right, because but it's significant in terms of the percentage, because I mean, he's touting it as relief, as it were, for the middle class. But others are saying, look, this is more a relief for big business, because the rate of corporate tax now has been slashed from 35% to about 21%. So that's very significant. I'm sure that perhaps other jurisdictions may take a look at this once they see the knock-on effect of what happens eventually in the U.S. But, of course, that's one leg of the many issues
that he's facing, yes.
Baya Toby, thanks a lot for being here with us today. I'm sure it's going to be a cool day in the city. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
All right, it's Good Morning Nigeria. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll be dealing with the Yuletide season and safety on our highways, and that your right to stay alive is not negotiable.
Come join us. Mom says we have more than enough.
Wherever you may travel, whoever you will be with, we wish you a supreme Christmas. Be supreme, Nigeria.
It's that time of the year when we appreciate all those that mean so much to us. Our sponsors, our clients, government at all levels, corporate bodies, advertisers, religious bodies, civil society groups, political parties, businesses, and above all, you, our esteemed viewers. Together, we made 2017 great. Together, we shall make 2018 even greater. That's why we say thank you. Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
I was distressed to notice that some of the comments, especially in the social media, have crossed our national red lines by daring to question our collective existence as a nation. This is a step too far.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
The Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, the Made in Nigeria campaign. In the midst of unprecedented multiple challenges, our great country Nigeria, as Africa's largest economy, is surely marching on to a new era of all-round prosperity, especially through re-engineered and diversified economy, powerfully driven by the change agenda of President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR.
We will patronize local entrepreneurs. We will promote the manufacturing powerhouses. Our objective is to make Nigeria a new manufacturing hub.
It is not time to complain. It is time to join the campaign. It is time for economic recovery, growth and diversification of our economy by Made in Nigeria.
Very interesting discussion we hope to have today, and that's because your right to life especially on the roads, is not negotiable. But let's listen into our background report as put together by Victor Azu.
As countdown to the Yuletide continues, one major concern for all stakeholders will be how to keep the road safe and free of crashes. Almost on a daily basis, the media is awash with stories of road accidents that claim the lives of Nigerians and inflict temporary or permanent injuries on some others. According to figures given by the Federal Road Safety Corps FRSC, 10,050 people are killed yearly in road accidents. The breakdown of the statistics show that there are 28 deaths on Nigerian roads daily, and this excludes hundreds of victims who suffer varying degrees of injuries and permanent disabilities from such road carnages. The Federal Capital Territory maintained its lead in road traffic accidents among the 36 states, with 93 cases resulting in 17 deaths and injury of 167 persons in July 2017 alone. This number rises significantly during the festive period because of increase in human and vehicular movements and the struggle on the part of most people to travel to meet their loved ones. Some of the top causes of these road accidents are speed limit violation, drink driving, poor state of roads, overloading, bad weather, bad driving habits, and fatigue, among others. Every year, the FRSC embarks on various awareness campaigns and other enlightenment programs in an attempt to reduce the numbers, but it does seem that not much success is being recorded, as annual statistics suggest. This year, Corps Marshal of the FRSC, Boboyo Yeyemi, has ordered the deployment of 36,000 regular and special marshals nationwide for the end-of-year special patrol operations. How can the statistics of road accidents be reduced in the country, beginning with this Yuletide? This and more is what guests on Good Morning Nigeria will be finding answers to.
All right, thank you very much, Victor Azu, for that background report. You can see some of the scary scenes there from crashes in the past. But we have with us three guests here in the studios and another guest from our Lagos Network Center. First, we'd like to welcome the Deputy Corps Marshal in charge of operations, the Federal Road Safety Corps, Ojeme Erujapo. Deputy Corps Marshal, pleasure that you're with us on the program this morning.
Good morning.
Okay, and then also here with us, of course, a familiar face is the First Public Relations Officer, CSP, Jimo Moshood, Chief Superintendent of Police. Moshood, our pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Nigeria.
Okay.
And here with us also in the studio is Wadata Aliu Bodinga, and he's the Directorate of Road Traffic Services here in the FCT. And of course, that's a department of VIO, Vehicle Inspection Officers. We would like to welcome you.
Thank you. Good morning.
And from our Lagos Network Center, we're being joined by Najim Yassin, is the National President, NURTW. We'd like to appreciate you for finding time to join us from Lagos.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, that's in Lagos there, that's the NURTW, as they are also called for short, National Union of Road Transport Workers. But let's begin the conversation here with our guests in Abuja studios. First with the Deputy Corps Marshal in charge of operations. This is obviously now the peak of the Ember months. What is it that the Corps has recorded in terms of movements and in terms of issues regarding safety on our highways before we now start getting into your deployments for Christmas and New Year proper?
Good morning. For the rest of the most part of the year, we've had quite a lot of crashes. We set a target for ourselves, which we are almost 15% meeting. We've had higher crashes than we thought we would have, but incidentally, we normally record or compare yearly averages during special Easter, Salah period. And we realized that for those same periods for this year, we recovered lesser crashes than 2016. So we're hoping that that will also play out in 2017. What we've done is to look at those areas where these crashes have occurred. Having looked at the record of what we have, we realized that while we were interested in reducing travel time, in terms of reducing gridlock areas, crashes were occurring in places where we're not paying attention to. So what we have done for this Christmas and Easter and New Year holidays is to look at those areas and make sure that we're not blind on those areas. So if we take a road like Benin, Ore, for instance, usually we'll be at Oluku, we'll be at Ore. But also realize that Ovia River is a problem, and then Okada. So this time we're making sure that there are vehicles that will be there. Not necessarily to enforce traffic rules per se. They will if there is need to, but just to have a presence and then to keep the crashes down. Because somehow, if we are on the road, people subconsciously want to reduce the speed when they know there's an FRSC vehicle, and also to make us respond as early as possible. Because once we don't get the information early enough, if there's a crash, then we can't give the kind of response that we have set a target for 15%, 15 minutes rescue time. So we hope that for this period, people will plan their trips. We started early. We started by going to churches and mosques.
Okay, just before we go into what you've done, I remember that years back, a few years back, the FRSC, started the campaign on this decade of action for road safety. That's from 2011 to 2020, and there were a lot of initiatives that the FRSC, came up with. What has changed between then and now with regards to the issue of, instilling safety on our roads?
Nothing has changed. Those initiatives are still being reinforced. We're still having campaigns on drink driving. We're still having the campaigns on seat belts. Helmet, we're not as good as we want to be. It's reduced a bit. But what we have also added is looking at the statistics, that speed accounts for over 65%. So that's why we came up with the speed limits and then installation of speed limiters on vehicles, because we realized that if we can remove that 65% element, because whether it's fatigue, whether it's loss of control, wrongful overtaking, speed is at the back of it. So we felt that if we can remove that element, so that's one new thing we have added, which we didn't have in 2011. And for now, we have over 1,000, we have over 100,000 vehicles that have fitted. We've worked with the big companies, Dangote, Dantata and Sawo and Julius Berger. They fitted on their trucks.
My question really is, what has happened with regards to compliance, attitude of road users, to the initiatives that you have laid, out so far?
Compliance is ongoing, but like I said, we cannot sleep on our hours because it's ongoing. Those compliance are still there, and we're reinforcing it. And for every month, we have a special 1 week to reinforce those, and the compliance is higher than it was.
Just before we bring in Deputy Commissioner, before we bring in the VIO, that's Director of Road Traffic Services Directorate in the FCT, you talked about the core being, as it were, blindsided on certain corridors while you were trying to facilitate movement on other corridors, and therefore tended to have chalked up, as it were, in terms of your data gathering, chalked up more crashes on those corridors. Can we have a sense of where these blind spots for the FRSC were, and then the areas where you were able to free up traffic and therefore also help reduce the crashes? You'd already talked about the Benin area and the Oluku and all that.
We're looking at Akwanga, Lafia, Garaku, Lafia. There are areas that we recorded quite a bit of crashes. And then you find that Alkaliri, Talata Mafara, Zafi, areas that usually have low traffic. But when they have a crash, and they're usually big trucks carrying goods, so you find a truck that's carrying cows has like 40 people on it. So what we're doing now, that's why I said we were blindsided. So those areas are also going to be covered, not in terms of traffic management, but more in terms of rescue. So we're beefing up presence in that areas. We're beefing up our rescue activities. We're activating our ambulance points, and the roadside clinics are also going to be staffed so that we can also respond while as much as possible we're freeing traffic. Because you find that along the Lagos or Onitsha, Asaba, those are areas people will call and say, we have been here for like 4 or 5 hours. We didn't have that last year because we were there. So we also don't want to have that this year, but we also do want to have crashes as well. So those are the areas that we're working on as well.
I'm surprised you didn't mention Lokoja, Abuja Lokoja.
We didn't have Lokoja Katokarife is traffic. So we free that. And then you find that we have between Giangoji, Gegu, and Abaji, you now have crashes. So we now have an ambulance point at Gegu and also open the command. And we're going to have vehicles at about 20, 30 kilometers on those stretches of road, like about 50 kilometers. Because they are long stretches, the road there is very good. So you find that people want to build up speed, so to speak, when they leave Gwagwalada. But luckily for us, Gwagwalada is no longer a traffic gridlock area since the road has been dualized. But you now have a lot of movement, so we're also going to be there.
All right, Deputy Commissioner, thanks. We'll come back to you in the course of the conversation. Wadata Bodinga, that's Director of VIO in the FCT. What is the situation with regard to traffic management in the FCT? 6 area councils?
Yeah, good morning, viewers. Traffic management, as you know, transportation itself has no tangible end product. The product of transportation is timely and self-arrival. And that is why the RTS, as it is constituted, is geared towards making sure that vehicles in the FCT and motorists as well as commuters move freely and seamlessly to reach their destination as early as possible. And one of the measures taken by the RTS is to do more of traffic management and less emphasis on enforcement activities. That is why recently about 40% to 50% of our workforce was actually diverted towards traffic control within the city. As you can see, there are always road traffic officers in all junctions within the city to make sure that people can reach work early. And of course, a lot of measures that we put in place to make sure that people reach their destination easily. Like before now, we say that the issue of checking of vehicle particulars in the morning around the hours of 7 a.m. up to 9 a.m. should be discouraged. People should be allowed to move so that they can reach their workplace as well as their destination early. So those are some of the things that we have been doing.
I'm wondering, what are the hours of operation of your men and officers? Because sometimes in some of the fairly notorious traffic points in the FCT, if you're exiting Abuja city, for instance, what my colleague Claire calls the MNK district, that's the Maraba, Yanya, Karu, and then now occasionally you also have that on the Kubwa Expressway. Exactly. These are peak periods, usually in the evenings, and your men in black and white are hardly ever on hand to help control traffic.
Yeah, surely, if you look at the Yanya Road, for example, I want to believe that our men are there in Kubo, as well as the Yanyan axis. So we are always there, either in the morning as early as 6 a.m. Our personnel are out along that axis. Equally, the axis of coming from Dede down to Kubwa and Dusi, all those places we have area commands, and all these area commands come out as early as 7 a.m. to do their duty. And like what I said earlier, recently...
When do they close?
They close, we are operating a shift duty. So from 7 to 2 a.m. and then to 2 p.m. Sorry, and then from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. But recently now, but because of this Yuletide period, we have bring off 3 shift duty, which means that including night, we are going to work. So we have divided the city into about 46 traffic centers where our personnel will be positioned throughout the day, as in 24/7. That is what we want to operate now.
You know, Kingsley, I thought there was a directive, I don't know, maybe I'm mistaken, you know, restricting the hours of duty, you know, VIOs and other road, you know, enforcers to 9 o'clock. I don't know.
No, that's what he explained. That's what he explained earlier.
No, let me come again.
These vehicle particulars, you know, you are coming, you find them stopping you at, you know, I mean, their operations were creating traffic gridlocks, you know, at rush hours in the morning when your men are usually out there. I think that's been stopped now for a while. Did they stop you sometime? Let
me bring CSP Jimo. CSP Jimo, well, I know that some commercial, you know, buses, operators still do the good night Abuja, good morning Lagos, or whatever the destination. And incidentally, this is also the period where those travelers, you know, were laid, you know, at certain corridors. So, with regards to providing security, what initiatives have you put in place for this period?
Thank you so much. I want to agree with laid, sort of. The Inspector General of Police earlier before now, around September, have directed the security assessment of all the highways and roads, major roads in the country. And this has been carried out, and this has informed our deployment in ensuring that there's safety and security along this road throughout the country. And if you observe the situation in the press, we have reduced rate of armed robbery on highways across the country. And we are still going to build on these successes to ensure that into the Christmas and the New Year, we sustain this. Having said that, it is important for them to equally know that as a result of the security assessment, our deployment, the area that's susceptible to traffic gridlock are going to be observation duty only. Policemen will not be on the road there, probably checking papers or probably trying to find the identity of owners of vehicle, because there's no doubt that you have cases of car snatching, especially as it comes to December period, because people who are criminal wanted to go to their villages to show off that they bought new cars and things like that, and we have to check that. So those that be deployed on the susceptible traffic area will only observe and see situation move on. Then designated area where they will flank you down and ensure that you conform, because when you are traveling, there's no doubt that you can't travel without fuel. In as much as you can't travel without fuel, all the necessary or proof of ownership of a particular is supposed to be in your possession, and you should equally know that all the other safety procedures are equally followed, because if you are traveling, because if you look at the issue of even tinted glass, because which we are going to enforce thoroughly, because the people tint their glasses without I won't say approval, because Nigerian, we take things too personal and try to when we are trying to enforce the law, whip up sentiment. People who tint their glasses are not authorized. The only authorized person now for educating the people are the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Vice President, the governors and the deputy governors. All other groups have to come under either health grant or security grant, and that is why VIPs that on security grant are granted approval to use it by the Inspector General of Police. It is in the act, is an act of National Assembly. But every other person who probably on health grant have a medical certificate will not be approved. But to make things easier for vehicles that have come in with factory-fitted tinted glass permit, they are inspected, they are documented, and they are given approval. And this approval is not going to be for life, because the Nigerian Police Force is working with other agencies of government to ensure that vehicle that doesn't meet specification of this country doesn't are not allowed to come in. So we have made a deployment to ensure that there adequate security through the nook and cranny of this country, especially as has to do with the highway. Not only the highway, once you get to where you are going, I think the responsibility completely rests on the police to ensure that the Christmas and New Year is peaceful. And that is why security arrangements for this period have been released by the Inspector General of Police, the Commissioner of Police in charge of state, and their supervising Assistant Inspector General of Police are going to be on the ground to enforce the security arrangement to ensure that each free yellow tide is guaranteed this year. And in addition, the rates of criminal hideout and black spots and other notorious spots are currently ongoing and it will be taken to the new year and beyond. So by and large, he has equally directed our Commissioner of Police in charge of command to work in synergy with the Federal Road Safety Corps, with the Department of Road Traffic Services and other safety agencies that have to do with ensuring safety on the highway and on an inner road. So with this arrangement, there's going to be a successful each free yellow tide.
All right, First Public Relations Officer, thank you very much. We'll come back to you. Let's go to Lagos now, where you have seen him on the screen from time to time, Alhaji Najim Yasin. He's National President of Road Transport Workers. Alhaji Najim, this is a busy season, obviously, as always, for your members. What reports are you getting in terms of their experiences on the highways?
Very much. Now it's a peak period for the movement here and there in the country. We have sensitized our members and make sure that before they can move to the highway, their vehicles are roadworthy, and then they should make sure that we direct all the state councils, the branches across the nation, that their vehicles should be in order and they should not allowed to, before they can overtake, when they are on the highways, they should make sure that they oversee the vehicle coming before they can overtake. At the same time, they should not drink when they are driving, and they should not pick telephone. The road is busy, and we call on them that they should be road conscious when they are on the wheel. So these are some measures that we put in place.
Yeah, I was just wondering, still with the president of NOTU, yes, these are the pieces of advice you have handed out to your members, but what has been the experience? Because there are still reports of unroadworthy vehicles driven by your members on the highway. There are also reports of paraga and other alcoholic drink sellers around various motor parks. And that your members quaff these drinks and they get on the road. And they drive at breakneck speed, sometimes doing what they call blow empty. In other words, you come empty without passengers from the east or anywhere else to Abuja or Lagos in order to come and haul passengers to those locations. What's your response?
What, in respect of the drinks and whatever, we have directed there is no motor parks, any motor parks should be allowed to be selling this alcohol or any paraga in the parks. And we directed the members, and then we told them that they should make sure that this thing is disallowed in their parks. So, and they complied. So our members are not taking any alcohol before they enter the highway because it was banned in the various motor parks. And then about the vehicles, we have warned them about the vehicles that are not roadworthy. The leadership of those parks should not allow them to go out of the park so that for the safety of the commuters, of the passengers they are carrying.
We'll come back to you, and would also like to get the reaction of the FRSC official here with regards to the some of the things that you have said in terms of taking alcohol, sale of alcohol at motor parks, and all that. But let me again go back to CSP Jimo. Just 2 days ago, one of our young officers here, had her self-contained apartment boggled and everything she had, scattered away somewhere in Papi. And with regards to satellite, towns within the FCTA and all that, and in terms of visibility of security personnel, what are we likely to see at this point that might, be different or make a difference during this festive period, because it started?
Yeah, thank you so much. You discovered that we have a broad-based arrangement to secure people as they travel and even their property before they come back. And it's important for people to know that community policing is the key thing. People in the neighborhood to watch for each other, and that is why most often we talk about crime prevention through environmental design. The way we design the environment for the person that is out is boggled. I wouldn't know whether it's in the night. If it's in the night, it become burglary. But if it's in the morning hour, it's housebreaking. And that's why the commissioner of police across the country have been directed to impress it on people who live in estate, because people converted estate, which are for residential use, to beer parlors, to recreation center, and they lack access control. So the bottom line is to ensure that there's access control in some of these estates and in area where we live, so that people can watch for us and report to the police. The divisional headquarters, among all the security and safety agents in this country, the Nigerian police force has the widest spread. There's any nook and cranny of this country that you don't find us. But the key thing is to work with the people. People should know where help can come from. Going to a police station is not going for any patronage than to let the police know, okay, we are here. 2 or 3 people can come together, get themselves into an association like a community. Even the NTA headquarters here is a community. Community doesn't necessarily mean a town, a city, or a village. When people come together to help in this regard. So we are enforcing this because with the relevant authority, because even if you look at development area in the central business area of Abuja, still find a lot of undeveloped plot, abandoned projects, and the likes. And this exists in some of these estates. And criminals use this to abandon and unleash mayhem and terror on the innocent Nigerians. So we are working with critical stakeholders, because as we speak, the arrangement for the Yellow Child and the New Year on security control have been there, but the IGP have directed that the DPOs, especially the DPO who are the foot soldier at the lower level, meet with the people in the community to work out an arrangement so that when people leave, because I'll cite an instance for you. In Lugbe, like 2 years ago, we arrested some robbers who use ambulances to evacuate people's property when they go to work. They use ambulance that belong to a private hospital. Once you go to work, they come around, pack your things, put in the ambulance, and go away. And this is quite that's why when you say you are moving on with ambulance and police flag you down, or you are carrying a turban on your head and the police said, lose this turban for us, you are under suspicion, lose this turban for us to check. That does not necessarily mean that the police is going out of the rule. Because even when you flag down a vehicle to stop and search who are there, the next thing is that the passenger will be telling you, Oga, what has the man done? The man has not done anything. And not even knowing that the man that has not done anything, by the time you travel 2 or 3 kilometers, will become a one-chance robber. So people should allow officers of the law to carry out their responsibility. And the inconveniences rate has grossly been reduced, but the cooperation and security consciousness of the people is very, very important. If you allow me time, when you have a house, for example, you ensure, like what we call the broken window theory. If your lock is bad, you fix it immediately. You don't delay it. So it is important for us to be security conscious the more, so that we can solve this
CSP Jimo Moshood, thank you very much. I mean, sorry, we're not seeking to trivialize the import of what you said with regard to what happened in Lugbe a couple of years ago, when some robbers were arrested, or burglars who were using ambulances to cut away the property. My colleague, maybe those items were sick or something. All right, so serious security breach there. But thanks a lot for the elaboration. But now back again to the issue of happy motoring because of the happy holidays. Road safety and the police, and indeed other security agencies, oftentimes what becomes a nuisance to motorists is the proliferation of checkpoints. You are here 100 meters ahead of you, you have FROSC, 1 kilometer later you have the police, 50 meters later you have VIO, some other kilometers you have local government persons with all kinds of spikes. What is happening with regard to coordination of the presence along worrisome or troublesome, potentially treacherous corridors in the country? That's the question is for the Deputy Corps Marshal.
What we're trying to do is to also, like CSP Jimo said, is to coordinate with the police. Our patrol points will be near where police checkpoints are. So if there's any suspicion, it's easy to get help at that point. But for this period, as much as possible, the emphasis is on freeing traffic, except there is a clear-cut case of infraction, somebody's phoning, or you're carrying a child in front, you know, without proper restraint, then yes, you could be stopped. We've also told our men not to pursue, so if you stop a vehicle, he doesn't stop, you let him go, and you can always call the next point ahead so that that person can be stopped. We're working with them, and we're going to try and reduce as much as possible the delays that will be attended. But like also the CSP said, people need to have a more open mind. People don't need to be too personalized. So a vehicle is stopped because he's speeding and you stop him and you're telling him and they say you're wasting our time. It's not wasting your time because most crashes, the drivers don't die. And you find that that person that you could have warned, you could have reported at the next point and said, look, this man is over speeding, you're encouraging him to speed. And people should just plan their journey. You are going from Sokoto, you are going to the east. You're not going to get there in a day. You're going to take you like 14 or 16 hours. Then you try and leave early as much as possible and then stop along the way. But we'll try to free up traffic and then work closer with the Nigerian police and the Nigerian army.
I'm wondering, CSP Jimo, you would like to respond to this in terms of proliferation of checkpoints that become, as some motorists often allege, a nuisance and the irritation to motorists. And of course, there's also the allegation, as you very well know, of extortion are those money points.
Thank you so much. I want to start by saying, to respond to your question, that we are working in synergy. This year, there's going to be any proliferation because all the state command, commissioner of police and their supervising assistant inspector general of police have been directed to work with other agencies to harmonize this point. And that's why I said earlier on that we have carried out security assessment of the highways and the road across the country and know which area are prone to robbery attacks and make deployment. Then where there's going to be traffic gridlock or those areas that it has been there, then we only observe and intervene. So I would say this traffic control and management is one of our constitutional responsibility. Even if there are other agencies that we are working with in consonant to ensure that the roads are safe and secured, then it doesn't obliterate or reduce our power under the Constitution for country control. In the FCT Police Command alone, we commit on daily basis more than 3,000 police personnel to traffic control. If you look at the junction, the intersection, and everything, you see policemen being deployed on shift basis, even into the middle of the night to early morning. So even this year, as we normally do, police helicopter will be deployed to work with the Federal Road Safety Corps, the VIO, another agency that's responsible, at least to carry out area surveillance and know where there are gridlock across the country. But the bottom line is that when you talk of extortion, I think we have worked seriously. There are a lot of internet mechanisms that we have used to check this because the IGP escorts are moving around the country, not only on suspected or allegation of extortion, equally revenue agent, because early in the year, a directive has been given by the Inspector General of Police that no agent, which is equally backed by law, they have the responsibility, even those authorized to collect revenue, to mount any check on any road or highway on the guise of collecting revenue. We have received complaints from some state governors, letters signed primarily by them, complaining that we have reduced the internally generated of the state. That is not our business. We are enforcing the law, and the law must be enforced in totality. If your revenue has been reduced, find another way of collecting this revenue, not necessarily coming on the road. So we want to sign the note of warning as directed by the Inspector General of Police that all those agents, whether State Board of Internal Revenue Service or probably local government or anything have no reason whatsoever to come to the highway to block the road. They are going to be arrested and prosecuted so that this can reduce and allow free passage of goods. The ease of doing business has been championed and been directed by the federal government of Nigeria and is properly being keyed into by the Nigerian police force. And will ensure that no agent of government come to the road on the guise of collecting revenue. It's equally of note that our elder brother talking from Lagos is the National Union of Road Transport Workers and other associations that have to do with road transport shouldn't come to the road on the guise of collecting revenue from their personnel. They should restrict the operation of collecting money to the various parks, which is important. And to appreciate him, he had been meeting with the IG, which is all executives and equally state executive member on the way to enforce this and ensure that it is free for everybody to move.
CSP Jimo, thank you. Thank you for those, of course, clarifications. And I must say, just add before we just take a short break, that the Bini bypass is quite notorious for these illegal, checkpoints and unnecessary tolls for revenue generation. All right, gentlemen and lady, we'll take a short break, and when we come back, of course, we'll continue with the greater aspect of our conversation.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria, unite against terrorism.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Oh boy, climb this thing now. Not be only to connect lights. Come you and yourself now. Now wow. Oh boy, calm down now. Oga Kasali electrician, who will they look for with this? Oh, Oga Kasali, come help us fix this wire.
Sorry, I no longer carry out illegal connection. It puts the lives of people at risk and can cause fire outbreak and disrupt power supply. I will never be part of anything that has to do with this any longer because change begins with me.
Oh boy, letting him talk makes sense. Oh boy, we could carry this ladder from over.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
All right, well, welcome back, and it's still Good Morning Nigeria, reaching you on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Our Twitter handle, you can see it there on the screen. It's at NTAGMN. We are taking some of those tweets right away. Shani IA tweets. Very simple. That's his prescription. Check the necessary parts in your vehicle, bike, train, or aircraft, and other traveling gadgets before embarking on a journey, and ensure that they are in good condition. And if you want to enter, or if you want to go by public transportation, make sure you use the reliable and registered ones for your trip.
All right, Daily Jack Solomon tweets, while it's not too late for the government to refurbish our dilapidated and deplorable roads, cases of overloading should be thoroughly checked. The NURTW and FRSC must continue to enlighten its members and the public on the need to observe safety during the festive periods and, of course, beyond.
Festus Akimboyewa has this tweet. Now, drivers should not be in a hurry to get to their destination during the festive season. They should not drive aggressively, carelessly, or recklessly. It's better to arrive late than end up in a hospital or in a mortuary.
And this is simply a citizens' parliament. It says the roads are bad and most of the drivers on our highways today don't have patience. 80% of road accidents are as a result of drivers impatience.
Jibril Naina tweets. He says, I can't attribute this, that's to say the higher rate of crashes to government, but rather to road users because of overloading, reckless driving, lack of good services to the transport system, and not abiding by the rules that would have saved lives.
And Sani Michael Omakoji tweets, if we must get it right before we address the issue of human errors on the roads, it is crucial we begin to have professional driving schools across the states of the Federation so that potential drivers must pass through it. Driving is not for dullards.
Ibrahim Tudu has this tweet. Now, you can't beat down crashes to the minimum without embracing technology. Now, they must track overspeeding vehicles on the roads and not at checkpoints. I'm wondering, Claire, let's bring in the director of VIO. That's what you are more famously known as VIO, the same thing as Road Traffic Services. I'm not sure what your scope of jurisdiction is. That is the scope of authority. But speaking to us from our Lagos Network studios, and it's still there, that's the president of NOTU, says that, okay, this is what the checklist they have given to their members. Don't do this, don't do this, do that, do that. With regard, for instance, check your vehicles before you take off. Be sure that your vehicle is roadworthy. Be sure that there's no alcohol. Do VIO officials, because I mean you see them at various corners, not necessarily in the FCT, in major cities like Lagos and elsewhere, where they are checking vehicles that are already on the road, most of them overloaded. Do you have the authority to go to the motor parks to get rid of those who are selling baraga and other alcoholic drinks, to also do spot checks on vehicles if the tires are not good? So look, this vehicle cannot move, in collaboration with the local chairmen in the various parks. Do you have the authority to do that?
Yeah, certainly there are limitations, particularly in the issue of drugs and other narcotic substances, which other agencies like drug law enforcement agencies and the police can do. But issues that has to be with safety, for example, that has to do with overloading, the roadworthiness of the vehicle, and even the physical condition of the driver himself to see if this driver is alert and ready to get moving. Is he not fatigued and all those stuff? The road traffic officers in the country can actually collaborate, because this is a kind of collaboration with unions and other stakeholders to make sure that people are able to move safe and to avert any accident that may occur in the course of a journey. If you look at FCT, for example, our work and other agencies has been actually cut short because one of the major things we are talking about here that causes accident is the road. If you look at the FCT roads, they are so very good that you cannot find that kind of roads in other parts of the country. So it means that we are left with the issue of the condition of vehicle and the attitude of the drivers, which is one of the most challenging aspects of our work. Because there is no gainsaying. You can see the attitude of the drivers when it comes to issues that can cause accident easily, like the beating of traffic light, for example. Somebody can just come and without any due care or attention will just pass the traffic light. And if you even wave him to try and caution him or to arrest him, he will simply tell you, after all, there is no accident, that he was able to pass and nobody was going. It's like people are trying to show a kind of nonchalant. And that is the more reason why the FRSC and the road traffic officers made it compulsory, in addition to the penalty, that you must equally go for a psychiatrist test for people to ascertain whether you are even mentally suitable. Yes, exactly. Because what you are doing at that time is like going for a suicide. Because somebody who be traffic light, of course there can be oncoming vehicle coming, and you know what that will be. It's going to be...
Yeah, we have, I mean, in terms of attitude, what the guy is talking about, we have a terrible... Sorry, please. Sorry to interject. Let's go back, Claire, to Lagos. Let's before we bring in the road safety and the police again. The NOTU national president, Alhaji Najim Yassin. Alhaji Najim, what are your members telling you in terms of their experience on the roads at this time? As we agree, this is the peak period. What are they experiencing? Are they experiencing delays on account of what? Or happy motoring all the way?
Yeah, as I said, this is the peak period on which there is heavy traffic from all over. Let me tell you my experience this morning. I left my hotel by 5:30 to meet up with this program on VI. The road is blocked. I have to leave my vehicle and take another drop and go through Third Mainland Bridge before I can get to this place. This is the period where someone cannot even determine that his movement and whatever. All what we are trying to say here is to make sure that to call on our members to be patient, so when they are hold up in the traffic, because there are a lot of experiences across the nation. So, but with the effort of the FRSC and all the security agencies on the highways, so that to make the trip easier, so they have been doing a lot in that respect. So this is what we are getting, report we are getting from our members across the nation. And it is the periods, because it's a peak period.
All right, thank you, Alhaji Yassin, for that information. But let's come back to the FRSC. And, you know, this year, the FRSC has kicked off a campaign, which is quite captivating, as we said earlier on. That's your right to life is not negotiable. Now, to enforce safety on our roads, does it entirely depend on, you know, how roadworthy your vehicle is? Because we've talked about, you know, vehicle roadworthiness, or the altitude, you know, of the road users, not just the drivers, but all road users. So, with regards to this campaign theme, what is the focus? How are you conveying the message?
We're looking at the people, is the altitude. People always say the roads are the main problem. I don't think so. Abuja has wonderful roads. We still have crashes and people are dying. So it's the altitude. Because I give a simple analogy. If the road is good or the road is bad, if it's just sitting down there and there's a car on it and nobody in the car, you're not going to have a crash. But the variable that we're looking at is the person that drives. So we looked at campaigns and reaching people. So we went to churches. We said, like, in the last 3 months, over 1,000 churches, mosques, met with traditional rulers, met with institutions, had town halls meetings. Let us talk to the people who are actually using the road, both as a driver and as a passenger or even a pedestrian. You find people crossing the road, they're on the phone. It's amazing. You're not looking. And then we still have drivers who are driving. In the FCT alone, we started an initiative, the Cobra Squad, which was looking at basically phoning and driving and then beating traffic lights. And between June 30th and now, we have arrested almost 9,000 people. And over 4,500 have been referred to the hospital. Of that, maybe about 41 were positive for different substances. So what we do in that instance, we're not going to release your vehicle to you. If it's a man, you bring your wife, we're releasing the vehicle to your wife, and we hold your license. But a lot of people were able to discover that they had issues, health issues, high blood pressure, diabetes, and all of that, and they're dealing with that. Like he said, I cannot understand how somebody would just beat a traffic light. But going on the highway, a lot of people drive inside town. But for this Christmas, they want to go home. You're not used to driving on the highway. You're not even used to the road as well. Maybe the last time you used the road, it was bad, or now it was good, now it's bad. You don't know how to use the road. So we advise, if you're going to drive, get somebody who can drive. And then if you want to drink, get somebody who doesn't drink. to be within the car. So if in Lokoja you decide to eat pounded yam and take a couple of bottles of big stout to cool down, let the person who doesn't drive from that point on. So we've tried to reach the person.
So what's the mentality now that you expect precisely, within this period that you are running this campaign, from drivers?
We hope that people will be more patient. We hope that people will be more careful. We hope that people will plan their journeys better. And they will also stop to rest. There's a lot of fatigue. You're coming from Sokoto all the way. By the time you get to Lokoja, you have fatigue setting in. People should stop and rest. Even if it's where you buy fuel, you can come down from the car, use the convenience, stretch your legs, move around a bit, and then you continue on your journey. We're hoping that with the outreach, that's why we say went to churches and mosques. People you wouldn't ordinarily reach if you went to the motor park to talk to people as well. Because as passengers, the driver is going to say, it's too slow, you are going 100, please, I'm in a hurry, I have to go somewhere. You can't be in a hurry. From here to Lokoja is about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So if you have a meeting at 10, ideally you should leave at 7. Then you will not be driving under duress. So people should plan. We've tried to reach people, and we think that we'll get a good response.
I'm wondering, Deputy Corps Marshal, two things. We talk about overspeeding. We also talk about substance abuse, particularly of alcohol. How readily available are breathalyzers for testing persons who probably are driving under influence? And does the Road Safety Corps have radar guns to ascertain the speed of an individual and then give him a ticket instantly? Things that Nigerians will not Nigerians will not attempt to do when they are outside these shores. When they come here, the thing is an open season. So do you have radar guns to check overspeeding vehicles? And then do you have breathalyzers?
Yes, we do. And they will be deployed, especially around areas where you have stops, where people normally will stop and then continue on the road. And where we find somebody who is under the substance, we also will ask them to stop. We've also created help areas in about 13 locations along the Bauchi, Jos Road, Benin, Abuja, and all that. We're hoping that people can stop at those locations and rest if you feel that you're tired. And yes, we do have radar guns, but we also do not want to pursue people, because you find that in an attempt to stop the person, you could cause another crash. So we take your number, and then with a database which we have in conjunction with the Boss of Internal Revenue, we can get the name of the person, his address, and then we send what we call a flying ticket. So you just sit down in your house, and then you get somebody who gives you a ticket. But we're also going to deploy mobile courts, so that some mobile courts is on some particular areas, and where you're found under the influence, you can easily be taken to the mobile court.
I'm wondering, Claire, I'm sure who will answer this amongst them. A practical problem, considering our Nigerian disposition. Now, let us assume a driver, a commercial driver, a bus, he has 14 or 16 passengers. He's driving under the influence. In other words, he has alcohol or in his system or otherwise, and he's pulled over. The Road Safety Corps or other responsible agency now says, look, this guy, yes, is drunk, and then he cannot continue driving. Now, get off the vehicle. Well, how do you handle the passengers who are in the vehicle? Who will not be saying, look, don't they come? I mean, typical of Nigerians to say, when are we going to get to where we are going to? If we pass here now 2 or 3 kilometers, you have all the chairmen, all those bad boys, they will be on the road. So how do you deal with that?
I think it's the NURT should
yes,
really
let's say. How would you handle such passengers? You get a substitute driver or otherwise. Alhaji Najim Yassin, how do you handle that?
Those drivers, we direct the leadership there, that they are there with the drivers, because they are the one that are with the drivers, and we direct them that they should make sure that any driver that is not maybe they find him that is not worthy, should not allow him to go out of the motor parks with like the issue of the overloading that they are talking about, whatever. No any in our designated motor parks, nobody can go out of that motor parks with overloaded passengers, because there are a lot of vehicles that queue, which is turn by turn, and if you overloaded your vehicles, so the other vehicle you are denying him of his distance. So all these things, we make sure that before you leave the parks, immediately you leave the park, we doesn't have the control on the drivers, but we want them before they leave the parks so that they can be road conscious.
Actually, Kingsley's, question is, what happens when the original driver, the real driver, is apprehended or is, parked for one offense or the other? What happens to the passenger? I don't know, Via, you want to talk to us? Because I know that the well-established commercial, vehicle operators do have conductors who are also drivers.
Yeah, the driver and conductor are two different things. You must either be a driver or you are a conductor. There can be a severe driver. That's what we call severe driver. For example, people that are going on a long journey, it is always ideal that the so-called conductor you are talking about should have been a person who is capable of driving, and not only capable of driving, but with a valid driver's license. Because even if you know how to drive and you don't have the license, to us, you are still not a driver, because you have to show evidence that you can be able to drive. So if there are instances, for example, somebody was pulled out and we realize that he has one offense or the other and he's carrying passengers, if we identify that person as a routine member or NURTW or whatever membership, there are always their garages scattered around the areas. So it's just for you to drive the vehicle down to those garages and hand it over so that they can change the vehicle. It's their responsibility to change the vehicle, another vehicle for the passengers, so that they can continue their journey, and then the driver should go and face prosecution for his offense.
Deputy Commissioner.
Well, that is one way. If it's a fleet owner, maybe popular, when we call the office and then your vehicle is here with us, you need to send another driver to continue on the journey. Yes, because this one definitely cannot move on. Like you said, if it's also a member of any of the transport unions, NATO or NURTW or RETAN, then we call them to send the driver so the journey can be continued, and then retain that driver at that point.
If it's a fleet owner that is in Lagos and this incident
they always have terminals. You look for the nearest office to send a driver to come and pick up the passengers.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. Let's take again another set of tweets from our viewers. Uche Gabriel has this tweet. I want to commend the FROSC for their efforts in controlling traffic and trying to reduce crashes on the highway. I want them to now pay attention to the Lokoja-Okene Highway. Armed robbers are dealing with travelers mercilessly on that stretch.
All right.
That's for the police, I believe.
Oh, yes. Now, Habila Kwara Zakshi tweets, what's the FRSC and NPF, that's the Nigeria Police Force, doing to check the trend of illegal motor parks that do not collect data of travelers, especially this Yuletide period?
Laban Biscuit Stephen tweets, it says the FRSC in Kaduna will make a blockade by potholes and be asking for driver's license. Are they a safety or revenue-generating body? Now, the high rate of vehicle crashes, is another opinion, are the result of bad roads. Of course, it's not wrong for the road safety to ask for to make a demand for your vehicle, for your driver's license.
That's another question I'd like to ask, the collaborating agencies to speak to, because it's always, Kingsley, a problem, so that travelers will know when you are stopped, you know what to present. If I see the FRSC, for instance, stopping me, I should know what to present to the FRSC. If I see a VIO, I should be able to say, okay, this is what the VIO requires of me. And if I should see the policeman, this is what the policeman will require of me.
Well, you have your set of documents, pertaining to the vehicle and pertaining to yourself if you are driving. But let's continue with the tweets.
Yes, okay. Yeah. I have Ibrahim Tudu tweet, and he says, crashes are as a result of so many factors, yes, but overspeeding is now a fashion in Nigeria. Now, vehicles carrying corpses are also overspeeding. Why is it still in our culture to speed, even within township?
Now, Michael Ondubuisi has this tweet. Now, the FRC and other traffic agencies, including the police, should dedicate themselves to a proper check of the motorists on the road instead of harassing and embarrassing the drivers and passengers.
All right, and this is a message from Uche Gabriel, and he says, life is so precious to be wasted on the highway. Our family and loved ones need you alive. Your right to life is not negotiable. Don't drink, don't drive. Make sure your vehicle is roadworthy before entering the road. Happy alive this Christmas. And of course, if you must drink, don't drive. That's what the FRSC says.
That's right. And Claire, your question is still pending. Well, we're just having a chat in the course of this. What set of documents should a motorist have?
I think the motorist should have all these documents, like you said. But for us, if you're stopped, maybe you're not wearing your seatbelt, you're phoning and driving, they want to ask for a driver's license, which shows that you have a right to even be on the road as well. If that vehicle is going to be impounded for whatever reason, if you have your particulars, then we will not impound the vehicle because we know that you come back for it. But when you don't have that, then the vehicle could be impounded if you're driving under the influence, for instance, or you're speeding, and we feel that at that point you need to keep that vehicle and be safe. Then we would ask for your papers, original papers. But if you don't have them, then the vehicle will be impounded. So usually we don't go out just to stop vehicles and say, where's your driver's license, where's your... No, there has to be a reason, which you call a primary offense for which you were stopped. Okay. And then the license shows that you even have the right to be on the road at all. That's when the issue of your license will come up.
Claire, we're wrapping up this conversation now. CSP, we talked about revenue collecting agencies not having the right to be on the road. We do not have the customs service here with us in this conversation, but if you recall, last holiday season, that's last festive season with regard to Christmas and New Year, particularly on the Lagos or Benin, Onitsha highways, there were numerous complaints of travelers, particularly those who were driving certain categories of vehicles, being stopped and searched and asked for papers for importation, import duty, and all kinds of things by the customs. Has there been any collaboration on this? As I said, the customs is not here to respond to this, but is this something that has been sorted out? Very briefly.
Thank you so much. I'm not competent to talk about customs service, but what I know with the synergy that we are working is that they have the right to check all those statutory requirements expected of them in their act, and they are not part of the revenue agent that we are talking about. We are talking about the state, the transport associations, and equally other revenue agents that collect revenue for government, and nobody has the right for the purpose of collecting revenue to mount any check. But the customs have their responsibility under the law to carry out their operation. Then having said this, it is important for people to equally know that the police have the right to ask for your particulars, because that is where we check the identity of the vehicle owner and know probably if the vehicle is yours or not, because we have seen instances in the past. Modus operandi of criminal have changed. Before, somebody that snatched vehicle can be in a thatcher dress and it's quite easy to know him. But those who cross vehicles now are people that are decently dressed, even at times with women and children on board of the vehicle, that will take out your suspicion. Because and equally they go with anti-car tracking devices. Even if the vehicle is tracked, the device will not work at that point in time. So police have the responsibility. But what we have done is to take those checking points out of that observation point, out of the gridlock area, so that people can have it easier to move. And equally of signal note is to know that when accident occur, we have the responsibility to investigate what has led to the accident and work with the relevant agency like the VIO and the road safety to ensure that the accident is properly investigated and those found to be culpable are prosecuted.
All right, Chief Superintendent of Police, Jimoh Moshood, who is also Force Public Relations Officer, would like to thank you for contributing to our discussion this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
From Lagos, our appreciation to the National President of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, also known as NOTU, Alhaji Najim Yassin. We do hope that you find your vehicle when you get back to somewhere around the 3rd Milan Bridge, or the vehicle has come to meet you now at VI. Thanks a lot, Alhaji Najim.
Okay. All right, let's also appreciate, of course, Wadata Aliyu Putinga, who is the Directorate of Road and Traffic Services, the VIO, of course, FCT VIO. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And our sister Ujeme Erujapo, Deputy Corps Marshal in charge of operations FRSA. Thank you very much. And I want to know you also have your helplines.
Yes,
know, where,
we do.
the
122.
Yes. All right.
That's right. Just restate that again. Helplines for what?
122 is toll free on all networks. So
Okay.
if you come across an obstruction, a crash, just call 122.
All right. So
24/7.
don't forget 247 according to the road safety. Call 122. If you have any obstruction on the way, do call and help will come. All right, CSP Jimo is saying you can also call what?
112.
122. Just a
Yes.
minute. 122 for road safety, 112 for the police. 112 police, 122 road safety.
All right.
All right. So let's go over now to our sports desk.
All right. Of course, that was sports from our sports desk. And Kingsley?
Yeah, that's how we call it a day on today's edition of Good Morning Nigeria. We'd like to appreciate all our guests and indeed our contributors who sent in their tweets. And also our viewers for tuning in. Tomorrow we're back same time, 7 o'clock in the morning. So enjoy the rest of your day. My name is Kingsley Osadolo.
Don't forget 122 for FRSC, 112 for the police if you're traveling. I am Claire Adela Abdurazak. Thank you for watching. You can always watch a repeat broadcast of Good Morning Nigeria every day, 5 minutes past 5 on channel 101 Start Times. That's if you're on Start Times. I'll see you on Christmas Day.